Welcome to the Fine to Fab Show with Lisa Lieberman-Wang, helping women reclaim their inner peace and power, going from feeling fine to being fab, fabulous, awesome, beautiful, serving to empower you to break through the barriers that weigh you down, to live an authentic life that is healthy, happy, and free. Now, here's Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Lieberman-Wang, your trusted guide on your journey from feeling fine to being fab. I am excited that you're here and more excited to be sharing this time with my special guest, Lauren Solomon. I'll tell you about her briefly. I want you to know that there are some special giveaways that we'll be offering. I want you to be part of this active member community. And if you'd like to do that, you can text us and text the keyword FINE2FAB to 90210 and hit send. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter at Lisa Lieberman-Wang, and check out our site and our blog and any prior recordings of the radio show at fine2fab.com. So if you'd like to be able to be a live call-in today and you'd like to talk to Lauren and myself, you can Skype in at Women for Women Radio, which is W4WN Radio, or call in at 561-422-4365. Be sure to mute your mic because you'll be live with us. So I want to tell you who we have here, and I'm pretty excited about it because, you know, a lot of us have these unspoken stories. And looking at me now, you'd never know I had a long history of eating disorders, depression, therapy, medical challenges, and countless hospitalizations. And despite that, I've spent so much money looking for the answers to the age-old question of what's wrong with me. And, you know, the answer was there was never anything wrong with me. And there are so many successful women out there that you'll look at them and never know those unanswered questions are going on and things are happening. And fortunately for me, it's been 20 years since I've stopped doing all that behavior and have been able to live an authentic, free life. And when I met Lauren, I just felt like I found a soulmate here. And not only is she this incredible person, you'll find out we have a working relationship, but Lauren Solomon teaches the art of being your very best self, your most confident, capable, and charismatic self from the inside out right now. Her belief that your image goes far beyond the clothes you wear, together with her proven ability to take each individual's unique message from the inside and express it authentically and effectively on the outside, has transformed the lives of clients around the globe. Lauren is a trusted image advisor to CEOs, corporations, individuals worldwide, as well as an internationally renowned speaker, author, coach, and media personality. Her clients cross every continent and industry, from Disney to American Express to Pfizer. Lauren's a former vice president of professional image development at Chase Manhattan Bank, the author of Image Matters, co-author of #1 bestseller, The Law of Business Attraction and Executive Image Power. And recently, I even commissioned Laura to help me because I was getting a spot on TV and working with people, and I was like, I need help, and Lauren rescued me. So, Lauren, are you there?
I am here. It was a rescue. It was.
It was an experience that only you need to go through to really appreciate how wonderful and incredible it was.
And I have to hope that we had some fun in the process.
We had more than fun. You know, now Yardley wants you and everybody else wants you. So I love you.
I love being wanted. Thank you.
So, Lauren, I know I gave you a bit of an introduction, and I know that it doesn't even go into any depth of anything about you, and as I got to know you, which is awesome. But what I would love to do is have you even give us all an idea of how you even got into this industry, and a bit of a background about yourself, so we can appreciate where you came from, as I have my backstory and where you are today.
Absolutely. The story goes that I've been practicing image since I was 3. I got my first makeup kit when I was 3. And I got my first hair client when I was 4 because I was suddenly tall enough to stand behind the chair and comb my dad's 4 hairs, and he let me. So now at 4 years old, I have a hair and makeup business. And, you know, I'd like to say the rest is history, but but that was really just a very quick view into the future. We didn't know what was yet to come. But I was what we would call an obese child. born to a model thin mother, and it was a very interesting way to begin. But fortunately, my mother was wise in terms of teaching me how to present myself in a way that made me feel good and made her feel good, because it was the way the family appeared, the whole presentation. These were life lessons. It's like etiquette, how to hold your fork and knife, how to present yourself in public, how to behave, how to speak to adults when you're 5. That whole thing started very, very early in our house. And I had a European grandmother who was very short. I think she was maybe 4'10", and she used to walk around poking me in the middle of my back saying, "Stand up, darling, you're too short to slouch." Well, I was 7, I was short. It was the truth. But, these are the seeds. The funny part is that these are the seeds that when you look back on a life well lived, you can see where the beginnings came from. So if I fast forward to, about 20, 25 years later, I was doing my executive MBA at NYU in New York City. I lived in New York City up until 2 years ago. And I was given an assignment to create a business that we would love. It was for the whole class, to create a business that we would love to walk out to the next day if we could. And amazingly, that simple assignment has created lifelong businesses that we're all very familiar with. And in my case, it created a revelation. And I took it very much to heart, because I was crying myself to sleep 5 nights a week in my banking job. There wasn't enough concealer on the planet to cover my puffy brown eyes. Oh. And I was very seriously saying, you know what? If I can't figure this out now, I'm going to die before retirement. So I got to get this one right. And I said, what would I do for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year if I could? If it could provide me everything that I want out of this life. And this was it. I designed my business in that moment because this had been my hobby since I was very, very small. I designed costumes. I taught myself to sew. I taught myself to cut hair. I taught myself to do makeup. And then I went out and got official education around everything. Well, here I was getting an executive MBA, the best education I could possibly imagine. And I was designing myself out of the job that had sponsored me for my education. But when I graduated from NYU, I went back to Parsons School of Design for a course, for literally a certification course in image. I didn't know it existed until that moment. I thought I had invented fire, right? Not in the ego way, but in the I'd never heard of it kind of a way. And by going back to Parsons and learning the real nuts and bolts, the real science behind everything I was doing, I suddenly understood that this world of image is a lot of communication, a lot of psychology, a lot of marketing, and it's a lot of personal experience. It's very much engaging other people on a very personal level, because there will be 2 of us in the dressing room. One of us is always in their underwear, and it is never me.
And I had plenty of dressing rooms recently.
And I was there, right? I was there with you via Skype or via FaceTime, and we were there together. And so, the theory isn't so far-fetched. It took technology a while to catch up to my theories, but in the meantime, designing this business was really the outgrowth of everything I'd always learned in my whole life. It was from my mother teaching me about body proportion, about size, about visual illusion and fabrication. And it was my own experimentation in designing costumes and creating looks. And then it was my opportunities to take my friends and family into my closet and have them come out happier and more confident and more relaxed and smiling in a way that they weren't when they walked in. So I knew there was something real going on here, and then it was just a matter of taking it out to the world. So I presented this to my classmates, and they all raised their hands, 43 executives on Wall Street, and they said, where do we sign? We didn't know what to call it. We didn't know where to find it. We know we need it. Where do we sign? And my life forever changed. That was the first kiss from the universe. It said, this is your new direction. keep going. And as I kept going and I was working at the then chemical bank, I would take everything I learned into my little team of 6 experts, and we were responsible for the re-engineering of the merger between 2 mega banks, Chemical and Manufacturers Hanover. And we would do these lunch and learns because I would go to school and I would come in the next day and say, okay, they told me that colors should do this to your complexion and make your eyes do this, and I need to know for sure. So I would bring in colored drapes and I would experiment on my teammates, and then I would bring in eyeglasses and wigs and hats and ties and different kinds of necklines and say, this is what they're telling me and I need to know for sure. So I got to practice on my team, and they started to show up differently. They started to take my teaching and go back into their own closets and make different choices. Or if they went shopping, they made a different selection. Or if they went to get their hair styled, they made a new request. And they started to show up looking and feeling different than they had prior. Until one day I got a phone call from the head of the sales organization at the bank saying, I understand you're doing this image thing. And I thought he was going to fire me. And all I could think of was how much money I would owe them if they fired me before my contract was actually up, because they sponsored me for the MBA and I owed them 3 years of service. So here he is about 6 months into my 3 years saying, I understand you're doing this image thing. Fortunately, he went on to say, I've been trying to bring image to this organization for 15 years. HR won't let me. They scream risk, exposure, discrimination. But you're doing something different, and I know that because you're doing it for a group of people who wouldn't do anything that didn't have personal benefit to them. So what is it you're doing? And by the way, can you do this for the whole organization? As you can imagine, my reaction was quite different then. And of course, I said yes, and I just figured it out as I went. And I had the opportunity to meet with 200 of the top executives across the organization and ask them, who taught you? Who taught you to do this? If I were to bring this information to your organization, how could I make it relevant? Who taught you, and how do you know that what you're doing is the right thing? And 75 to 85%, I don't remember the exact number, it was a big number, said, if you could validate or confirm for me that I'm doing the right thing, that would be the biggest step I could take, because whatever I do, I'm never quite sure. I'm either following after the footsteps of someone, or I'm doing something that I picked up a long time ago, but I never really know for sure. And I realized that there was a much bigger learning opportunity out there, and that this was everybody's personal brand. This is how we show up. Are we showing up confidently? Are we showing up in our most competent? Are we showing up as our naturally charismatic selves? Or are we actually holding ourselves back, staying behind the scenes, staying behind the camera for fear of coming out in front? And I created a proposal, and they created a position for me, and I became the vice president of professional image development for what later became Chase Manhattan Bank.
That's incredible. So not only did you find your purpose, but you created a need that wasn't even, or you identified a need that wasn't even there, that people didn't acknowledge before. And I think it's like you said before, most people don't know what to even look for. Like, they know they need help, but how would they find you? They don't know what it is they're asking for.
Exactly. And I didn't know it until I actually walked through it either.
Yeah. Now, you also had shared with me on another note that you had challenges even with your own self-image and your own weight issues as well. So just not even just the clothing and the hair and everything else, there were other pieces that came into play for you that made this transform into something so much bigger.
Well, what actually happened over the course of my life, and I think I shared this with you, that there was a point where I weighed 210 pounds, and I have also weighed 120. And I'm 5'5", sometimes and a half, depending on who's doing the measuring. If it's me, it's always 5'5" and a half. But in either case, 210 nor 120 were sustainable. 210 was much easier, I'll admit, to sustain. But at 120, I was eating lettuce and exercising 2 hours a day, and that just wasn't going to be sustainable in my life. And 210 wasn't sustainable because it didn't feel good, because it wasn't really who I was. It didn't allow me to be who I knew I was, and basically taking my own learnings, and in addition to that, getting the proper help. I actually had a medical condition that lent itself more easily for me to be 210. But once we were able to resolve that, then I realized that I had just been asking the wrong questions. And like you said earlier, Lisa, there was nothing wrong with you. There was nothing wrong with me. In my case, there was a medical issue that was relatively easily resolved. And once that took place, then, over the course of those couple years, then I haven't really had to address it again. But I do have to stay in touch with who I am and who and how I want to be. That has allowed me to have a different conversation with people, because I really have been, like you, where everybody else has been in one condition or another.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting part is that there's always those that look at themselves as different pieces. Like, I'm just going to fix the outside, and then if it looks good, it'll be okay. But that's where, my work comes, is my work is all inside. And you do, and of course, I go from inside out, and I know that that's a lot of your model as well, that if we don't take care of the inside, we're not going to give the energy for the outside.
And there's the flip side of that says people can focus on their insides forever. But if you don't focus on the outside, then all the education, all the development that you have on the inside doesn't show up, because the old you visually cannot introduce the new you. The old and the inside and the out have to be so well aligned. They have to be best friends and in consistent partnership, so that when you show up, we get that you've gone through some kind of a change, some kind of a butterfly-worthy metamorphosis, and we can see that on you. So then the question becomes, what have you done? And you get to open your mouth and just be. Otherwise, if we show up as our old selves, those questions may never happen. And if we show up prematurely in some visual expression of ourselves that isn't really who we are, then we're usually too fearful to show up completely.
And I love that you're saying that, because one of my groups right now, I have a couple of beautiful women that don't know they're beautiful yet. And one of the things I've done is they don't wear makeup, don't do their hair, and really don't take care of themselves in more ways than one. And that was my assignment, that they needed to do their hair and makeup and dress nice and take a picture every day to send it to the group. And it was so funny, because it was like horror, Lauren, horror on their face. When I made the request, it was like you would have thought I asked for their firstborn, because they had so much tied to that image of their identity of feeling bad, and it looked in every manner.
Mm-hmm. And we start every day in the mirror, and that's where I begin too. We start every day in the mirror, and if we can actually love who we see in the mirror, inside and out, our whole day is going to be completely different. And there's that side that says, I don't deserve to take care of this part of me. I haven't earned it, or I'm not worth it, or it's too expensive. There are so many things we can do, small steps, one at a time, to move ourselves forward, to know that we're actually growing in every way.
Okay, that's awesome. If you were to think about doing this so many years and all the clients you've had over the years, what were some basic threads that you saw as a commonality? Because you deal with so many successful people. People would never even think that they would seek out your type of services. What would be a common thread that you found?
One thing that's so interesting, and I really just recognized it not very long ago, that so many of my CEO women, and I'm talking about corporate CEOs, were raised on farms. They were raised in the heartland. They grew up with a very solid, strong work ethic. They grew up with a very strong family awareness. They grew up knowing that they did not want to live and work on a farm for the rest of their lives. So the farm becomes the metaphor for any of us, is where do we want to take ourselves? From where we began, where do we want to go? And they were able to then recognize that they had certain strengths. They did very well in school, made great grades, have pushed themselves to be very, very successful in business, but they hit a plateau. They hit a spot that they couldn't go any farther. And then they had to really ask, what is it that I haven't done? And this was the work that they hadn't done. So that's one thing. And when they started to show up more aligned, obviously inside out, then that plateau, that glass ceiling, call it what you will, disappeared, and they continued on their rocket ship. The other thing is that women get stuck in a place where they last felt beautiful, which is usually around 18 to 22, when someone told you you look beautiful and you actually believed them. But as we continue to grow up and do more, and we fall and we get up, and we fall and we get up, we tend to believe ourselves a little bit less. And as we move forward, we don't really believe that we're beautiful. So we pull ourselves back to the last time we felt beautiful, which means our hair looks very similar to how we looked when we were 18 or 22. And we're just not pushing ourselves to be our truly best in every way. So that hair, the no makeup, the rejection of things that would actually reflect beauty on the outside feel inauthentic because we're not feeling beautiful on the inside. And that's something that so many of us share. I was reading some research recently that said only 2% of women globally believe they are beautiful. And that just breaks my heart.
Yeah, and I actually saw a study, the number, and I think it was close to 2 or 4% too, but it was Dove did the study, and they said that means there's over 672 million women that do not think they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? Only 1 in about 60 women believes she's beautiful. And look around you. Yeah, look around you. If you're in a room of less than 60 people, no one in there believes they're beautiful. That's crazy.
It is. It's pretty sad. It's like every single person just being is beautiful. And I think that we have these standards of what we attribute beauty to, and if we don't meet that standard. When you said women get stuck at a place where they last felt beautiful, I just want to go back to that, because I always find it interesting when I speak to people and I'm speaking about where they are and where they want to be, and whether it be about positions in their careers, their lives, their weight. Whenever they give me a weight or something, they say to me, they pick a number, and it's almost arbitrary. And I'll always ask them, how did you come up to that number? They said, well, when I was X year, whatever year old it was, whether it was 18 years old or 22, it was the best year I ever had. I felt great. I looked great and all. And it's like the number might not even be a healthy weight, but it was the best year they remember. And they end up getting attached to the number. It's so ironic that you shared that, because I see it in a lot of things.
It may come up as a weight number. It may come up as a size. A lot of times women will say to me, I can't do this work until I'm a size 6. Well, what size are you now? 14. So when exactly do you think that's going to happen?
Right. It's like, when would now be a good time to get started?
Exactly. And what about you believes that you cannot be absolutely exquisitely beautiful in every way right now? And that's where we cross the line very well, and actually, address all of these things. And I have to share, men suffer from the same issues. They don't speak about it. They don't point it out in the same way, but they get stuck too. And it's a conversation that men and women could have together, meaning in partnership. If you're in a relationship with someone, and find that you could get support from more of your relationships than you believe.
And what would be, before, we're going to go to a commercial break in a moment, but before we do, Lauren, why don't you just give us one tip on the note we're speaking about that people can do on a daily basis now to even start this journey for themselves?
My favorite is to get a haircut, get your haircut in a style that is easy for you to manage, that is flattering to you, that you really, really love. because hair is the easiest thing to change. And guess what? It grows back and you can continue to change it. But when you look in the mirror first thing in the morning, you will love what you see.
And here's the irony about that. What was so funny is when we were talking, and I came to obviously in a completely different place internally, and with my self-image and self-esteem, I already conquered that. But when it came to the clothing, I am your prime example of everything you described. I learned from my mom or whoever was there to teach me at the time, and never quite even knew what really went together best. I did pretty good. I mean, most people, when they heard I had an image consultant, said, well, you don't need one. I said, no, she's getting me out of the box. I'd go into this conservative mode, and I was so much in corporate, with the suits and all the other things, and thinking that was the role I had to play because it's what I was taught. You had to fit in with the big boys, and I wasn't a big boy. I was a little girl, a little woman. So it was such a contrast to even how we do things. And the first thing you did is you went after my makeup, my eyebrows, and then my hair. And I thought I was doing good in both areas. So on that note, I'm actually going to bring us to a commercial break, and then we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. So everybody stay with us. Remember, you can call in and Skype in at W4WN Radio if you'd like to ask a question, and also be part of when we get back. We're excited. We have some great giveaways. So let's go to commercial right now.
If you've always wanted someone to connect with on your path to a happy, healthy you, I've got great news. In her #1 best-selling book, Fine to Fab, 7 Secrets of a Successful Woman's Journey Away from Depression, Disordered Eating, and Self-Sabotage, Lisa Lieberman-Wang shares how you can experience your breakthrough just as she did. Start living an authentic life without blame, shame, or years of therapy. Buy now at finetofab.com.
Feeling tired and achy? Frustrated with allergies? Stress causing you high blood pressure? If you're ready to feel better, have more energy, maintain healthy cholesterol levels, joint flexibility and circulation, looking to reduce inflammation, support healthy glucose levels and sinus relief, plus so much more, Isotonics OPC3 is a food supplement made from a combination of bilberry, grapeseed, red wine, and pine bark extracts, and citrus extract bioflavonoids, all found to be powerful antioxidants. Oligomeric proanthocyanins, OPCs, are bioflavonoids found in fruit, vegetables, and certain tree barks that provide exceptional nutritional benefits to the human body. Studies have shown OPCs to be up to 20 times more powerful than vitamin C and 50 times more powerful than vitamin E in neutralizing free radicals. Isotonics is delivered in an isotonic solution, which means that the body has less work to do in obtaining maximum absorption, as you can drink your vitamins. No pills, binders, or fillers. Buy now at www.amillionproducts.com. Isotonics OPC3.
Now that I have your attention, ladies, when you need help breaking through the barriers that weigh you down, turning to food is not going to help, and starving yourself along with ongoing feelings of helplessness and frustration will not help either. The cycle of self-sabotage, disordered eating, and stinking thinking has to stop, and there is no better way than with other smart, business-savvy women like you who are making the change with best-selling author, licensed master NLP practitioner, and trusted guide, Lisa Lieberman-Wang of Fine2Fab.com. Lisa will help you get that breakthrough you've been waiting for. Go to Fine2Fabshow.com right now for all the details of the life-changing 10-week transformational program and the special listeners promotion. It's time to turn your life from feeling fine to being fab. Fabulous, awesome, beautiful. Go to Fine2Fabshow.com now.
Well, welcome back. This is Lisa Lieberman-Wang, your trusted guide to going from feeling fine to being fab. And I have my fabulous, awesome, beautiful guest, Lauren Solomon, with me. And you're going to be hearing more about how to take your image to a whole new level. So image does matter, Lauren, and I am loving every bit of information you're sharing with us. So are you still with me?
I am right here.
Okay, awesome. So, I actually have it here that when you were talking about different people, and basically that you start by looking in the mirror. And I love to start looking in the mirror every morning with I ams, and saying like 50 I ams. They say it takes 20 positive statements to counteract one negative. So I tell everybody, start your day with I am statements, like 50 of them. So at least we got a couple of those covered. So like, I am fabulous, I'm awesome, I am beautiful, I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm nurturing, I'm kind, I'm, courageous, and all these other things. What would be a tip that you give people when they're looking in the mirror, or what are some of the things you share to at least start their day when you said that we all start that way?
Well, I actually start a little bit before the mirror, because I also believe that the minute the alarm goes off, we jump up and we already believe we're late. We haven't even had a chance to get out of bed yet, but we are already on the go, on the run, and we forget about ourselves. So I love the I ams when you're looking in the mirror. I love the I ams from the time you actually turn off the alarm or however it is you wake up. But I also love at that moment the conscious breath in, and this is kind of the way of that I learned, the way of the goddess. And I do a whole program called Go Get the Goddess, because so many of my women have put the goddess away in order to get the job done. But in the mornings, initially, once you turn off the alarm, once you're actually awake, before you have completely sat up and gotten out of bed, just take a very deep breath in to support yourself. And then be sure that you actually have left time for at least 5 minutes of whatever it is that gets you started for you. So if it's stretching, if it's meditation, if it's yoga, if it's walking the dog, whatever it is that will get you grounded, get you in your body, let you focus, then just those 5 minutes before you actively start your day, then when you do walk into the bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror, the I ams are the perfect place to start. And I'm with you. I've got them plastered all over. And it is all about I'm vibrant, I'm capable, I'm competent, I'm brilliant. So there is no better food for the morning. And if you can look at that mirror and love who you see genuinely, love the person who's looking back at you, that is your best friend forever.
Absolutely. And I remember when I started doing this, and my exercises started probably 25 years ago in this, I had the hardest time even looking in the mirror. It was torturous at the beginning, where I didn't want to look in. And I have clients that when I ask them to look in the mirror, it was tears and, like they're okay with just looking at their eyes, but the rest of the body didn't even exist, or different parts of what you like about yourself. And it would be so hard for them to find something. So I really believe with all my heart that these are the core that we need to do the very minimum to take our journey to another level.
Absolutely. I agree. And the next thing that you can do is to set yourself up for success in the course of the day, which means that most of us wear so many hats in the course of the day, but when we do actually go into our closets to attempt to get dressed, we are then faced with all the shoulds, woulds, and coulds of our lives. So in that closet are all the things that we have collected over so many years. Many of them no longer serve us. Many of them are there because they were the size 6 we were 12 years ago. And we look at them and we feel guilty. Many of them were gifted to us or maybe handed down from a sister who didn't love it when she got it home and thought it would look better on you, or you were convinced to buy it by a girlfriend who didn't want to spend the money, but she convinced you that it looked great on you and she would just borrow it from you sometime. But all these things that hang out in the closet are again, the things we face off with first every morning. And if we could clear that noise, clear that clutter, clear out, I call them the 3 witches, the should, would, could sisters. And if we could clear them out of our closets, then every morning we would be set up for success, because we could walk in and have a closet of what I call magic outfits. And you now know exactly what that is, Lisa. A closet filled with magic outfits that you would love to put on, ones that really talk to you and they're screaming at you, pick me, pick me. And you want to pick them and you can't make a mistake. Everything in there works for you. Everything in there is your supporting cast. That's the next step once you've got hair and makeup going on.
I do have the magic outfits, but I haven't purged the other clothes yet. So I think we need to have a ceremony to get rid of them.
I'm available for you, babe.
Okay, I have a friend here who's raising her hand, and she wants to ask you a question, and this is Linda.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Linda.
I have like a million things to say. I wanted to interrupt every 5 minutes. I'm hearing so much and learning so much. It's wonderful information. You know, it's funny. I was even thinking about what's in your closet, gifted from my sister. My grandmother had passed, and she was a very large woman. And really wasn't much. She wasn't a fancy woman, but she left, this wardrobe. And I said, oh, well, I'll take a couple of those house dresses. And it's funny because they're so big, but they were my grandmother's. And then recently I did get rid of them because, it didn't make me feel good even thinking that I would put it on. So I'm good about that point. Thank you for making me feel good about throwing that out and not, getting some kind of Zulu from my grandmother. My question is, we all go out shopping. We buy things. We think that they look good. I don't know what they do in these dressing rooms because I think I look great in some outfits. And then all of a sudden, here I am. It was my son's graduation. I had this outfit that I thought I was totally rocking. And I saw the pictures. Oh, my God, I look like a stuffed sausage. So, either it's my glasses or these mirrors. And how do we put ourselves in a realistic mindset when we're purchasing something? Because I think I made a bad choice.
I'm sorry about your bad choice. And it's very possible that, when you bought it, you were rocking it. And, if you're like every woman on the planet, it's day to day, 5 pounds here, 10 pounds there. We can swell up that much in a moment's notice. And the whole thing about finding clothes that work for you for real is about looking at the line of the clothes and understanding the line of your body. If you can see that there is a clear reflection in the line of the clothing that reflects the shape of your body. So if you're a curvy woman, then softer fabrics that float on your curves in a size that floats over, because very few of us want to feel like a sausage, and it makes us uncomfortable. So we want to go a size up and realize that the numbers do not matter. The most important thing for women to learn when it comes to shopping is that there is no standardization in women's sizes. So I don't care if you're wearing a size 8 in one collection, you may walk to the other side of the store and have to wear a size 12, and you just have to ignore it. You just have to ignore it because there is no standardization, and different fabrics and different collections are cut differently. But if you can actually get familiar with, how you like to look and what collections look good on you for real, you can go back and see what they're doing this season that may reflect, on you well again, or there's a chance that they have completely changed their fit models and they're doing something completely different. It is very, very hard for women to know for sure. So trying things on, being objective, and if you're going to ask for feedback, find the person in the department you're in that looks best to you, the one who is truly well-dressed, well-turned out. That's the person to ask for an opinion.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I think what happens is, I know even for me, there were things that I thought looked good on me and you didn't think looked good on me. So, Lauren, how do we also adapt the eye to even understand? Because let's talk about image and how we want to be seen in the world and our positions and stuff. Because I know there were some cute outfits that I thought I was bringing home with me, and you told me I wasn't. So can we?
But did I tell you why? Did I tell you why?
Well, you told me that it looked like I should be going to a picnic when I thought I could wear it on a stage. Mm-hmm. Or yes, you did tell me. But can we also let our listeners have a clue of how to pick things? Or
Absolutely. So the first thing you want to look at is your body proportion. So you're petite. So using Lisa as an example, anything that goes below her knee suddenly makes her look shorter because Lisa's height requires some skin being visual. And the challenge there is that in business and in the world that she's traveling, the more skin you show, the less power you have. So there really is a balance. And finding the right length for a skirt is going to be the first step. So in general, if you take your thumbs, put your thumbs together and then put your forefingers together and create a circle and put that around your knee, somewhere in that vicinity of about an inch above and an inch below your kneecap is going to be the most flattering skirt length for just about everyone, unless you're looking at something like, you know, a riding skirt that requires boots, or you're talking about a mini skirt, and again, you need it to be appropriate and placed in the right place. But in general, for most of us in business, around the knee will always be the perfect length for a skirt, because that way when you sit down, even if it rises 3 inches, which it will, it's not inappropriate and you don't have to be insecure. And at the same time, it should hit you at the most narrow part of your leg, which is always just below, in the middle, or just above your kneecap. So that's one step. And we dealt with that a lot in terms of the clothes that you tried on, that if we simply shortened certain things, they were quite perfect. But as they were, they weren't. And please remember that clothing is cut for the masses. So everything is going to require alteration. If you actually can buy something off the rack that requires nothing, that is less than 1% of the experiences of the world. Everything should be altered to fit you and make it your perfect outfit so that it doesn't look like it could fit just anyone. It looks like it was made for you. The same is true for sleeves. Very few of us after the age of about 22 are happy revealing our entire arm, unless we have great arms, which Lisa does. So she doesn't have any problem wearing sleeveless. I, on the other hand, prefer a sleeve that comes just above or just below my elbow. That to me is most comfortable, and it will go everywhere. So then I don't always have to have a jacket. So that makes a difference for me too. The other thing that you want to look at is the proportion, your body proportion of your shoulders, your waist, and your hip. So if your shoulders are very narrow and your hip is wider, then you can put on a jacket or a small shoulder pad or a top that has a wider shoulder to help balance the shoulder with the hip. And if your shoulder is wider and your hip is smaller, kind of that inverted, that V shape, then you want to create more volume at the bottom. So it might be a flowy skirt, a flowy pant, something that has more volume, and you might keep the top a little more fitted and quieter. So when I'm looking head to toe, I'm always looking for proportion and I'm looking for balance. So there are 3 letters, and we all know them, A, B, and C. So we want to, A, accentuate our favorite parts of ourselves, and we have them. You must find your favorite part because you have one. I know, at least one. And you want to camouflage the things that you're not so happy with. For me, it's my upper arm. And then you want to balance from head to toe everything else. And the garments will do this for you if you look at it as that formula. What do I want to accentuate? What do I want to camouflage? And how can I balance the two?
I love that. ABC.
Actually, it kind of comes out as ACB, but it's still ABC.
Oh, it still works. We all need to know our ABCs. Accentuate, camouflage, and balance. It works for me. So that was just incredible pearls, and I'm learning so much more too, because even helping other people, and I know we're going to share your book at the end, and I know they're all going to want this because this is going to make the difference. You know, when women start changing and men start changing their wardrobe and then do the personal grooming, I mean, there's absolutely a transformation and metamorphosis that happens. But give us some ideas of how important this is in how they represent themselves in the business world. And maybe we talked about, you and I personally, different rules that were out there that obviously I had growing up of what I thought success had to look like. Can you just share some of that?
Happy to. The world of suiting and the traditional look of business that we're accustomed to, that we've been taught over the years, is not completely dead, but it has shifted gears in a very big way. So how people wear suits, where they wear them, and whether they're required to is very different. And mostly it's based on industry and also level of achievement. So once you've achieved a certain level of success, it's my belief that you also want to show up at that level of success. So you're willing to step out a little bit, dare a little bit more, and do things that you wouldn't necessarily do in your 20s when you were just starting out. So that, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, look at the things that you do wear and ask yourself if this really is you right now.
That's awesome. You know, Lauren, I cannot even believe the time flew so quick. So quick. I need you to come back again because you're just amazing. I want everybody to know what you've been doing and how to get a hold of your work. I know you have a special program that you're just going to be rolling out to the world. Can you just share that with everybody?
Absolutely. I'm so happy to share this. There's a new program that a webinar series, a 7-part webinar series that is coming out, and it is called Lighting the Path with Power and Beauty. And it really is about just starting out, lighting your own path, moving yourself forward. And I'm thrilled to be able to offer the first installment, the first episode of the webinar to your listeners, to everyone who's out there. And they can find it at if they go to my website, laurensolomon.com, it's LAURENSOLOMON.com/webinar. It'll take them right there, and they'll receive it, they can download it, and when they do that, they'll also have an opportunity to download my book, which is Image Matters, First Steps on the Journey to Your Best Self. And that's where I talk about the 7 areas of your life where image matters most and give you pretty much the basic first steps of everything that you can do on your own to get yourself started and really start moving yourself forward in this area of your life.
Lauren, I'm looking forward to the program because I know that just from this short period of time, I'm keep learning more and more from you. And I know that it's going to serve a lot of people out there because we've never had that trusted guide that's going to give us this direction. This has always been a trial by error for so many of us. So thank you for taking the time and the investment in yourself and the knowledge and everything else you've been doing for thousands of people already. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much, and it's an honor to travel this part of the journey with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And for our listeners, again, be sure to go to laurensolomon.com/webinar and get started with the first installment for free to learn how to take yourself to a new level. Join us at findtofab.com and every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time where we'll have a new guest and somebody to take you on your journey here. And remember to stay connected to us by texting us at FindToFab to 90210 and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at Lisa Lieberman-Wang. And again, you're already fabulous, awesome, beautiful. Have an awesome day. Thank you.
Tell me if this sounds like you. You're a woman, you're successful but aren't quite comfortable with yourself. Perhaps you struggle with depression, eating disorders, or some form of self-sabotage. You've tried diets and programs, self-help, psychiatrists, even Overeaters Anonymous, and you're still looking for the answer. Well, get your answer today. Go to findtofabshow.com. That's FINETOFAB show.com.